Hey guys, well, welcome back to Tam Talks, a place for real and honest conversation. And again, I have my dear friend, Pastor Nate, in the studio here today, and it's just been fun bringing in some of our staff members and talking about the book, Fasting for Miracles, and just hearing some of your stories and dialoguing, because what I want to do is just get really honest with these biblical stories, whether they be the miracle stories in the book or the fasting passages. Because you know, Pastor Nate, we're on a 21-day fast here at our church and believing God for breakthrough or believing Him for miracles and just marriages restored and healing. And today's passage is really cool. We know we're on day 18 in the book, and it's the story of the little girl that was brought to Jesus. And, you know, it's kind of interesting because basically she was dead. She was gone. And I think about this in my life, how many times I've had dreams die. You know, and things in my life. And today on my prayer walk, there's something I've been praying about. And I was just like, God, show me if I'm praying the wrong way. Because you kind of wonder, like, how far do you go and keep pushing in with your faith, especially when a dream seems to have died. So whether you're watching us on our YouTube channel or a podcast, we're going to talk today a little bit about when your dreams die. How far do you keep going asking God to resurrect them? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question. When your dreams feel like they've died, one of the things in my life that I have tried to make a practice is fasting. And so being on a 21-day fast and being challenged to do that is always a great time to kind of take an evaluation of what are the dreams? Are they God dreams? God, maybe they just need redefined, maybe a clear vision in that. And yeah, you know, we have a young adult ministry here at Influence Church, and as we've been doing that, really was one of the things that kind of we took on as Eric and I came here, and you know, trying to be intentional with our young adults. And for the years that it felt like we were just plowing, and you know, we would see spurts where there would be a great turnout, and then we would see a season of drought where it felt like there were myself and a few other young adults in the room, and I would take it to God in prayer. God, you know, are we doing the right thing? Do we have the right leaders? And it's a dream. You know, God impacted my life as a young adult, and I know the calling and opportunity that there are for young adults. If you're a young adult and you're listening, like, press into God, ask Him for a God dream, ask Him for a vision, and don't give up on it. But as we would continue to see the ministry, you know, in the seasons of the drought, I would get discouraged and feel like, God, is it a dream that's slipping through my hands? Is this you? Is it all me? And to now see that we have been able to make some changes and a new wave of leaders that's come into our young adults ministry at Influence Church. And we're in a season of growth. I'm super excited what's happening, and the leaders that are being raised up, and marriages that are even coming from that as young adults, of course, are meeting their God provision person in their life. And so it's neat. So don't give up on your God dream. Fast and pray.
Yeah, and it's so much like the story, because let's talk about the story on day 18 of the book, because remember, they all laughed at him. They laughed at him, right? And they said, she's dead. And he said, leave the room, close the door, because you know what? He didn't want doubt in the room. You can't bring doubt in the room when you're going to have a miracle. Okay, I'm talking to somebody right now, because in this talk today, we're going to be talking to you about faith. And whether it was a passion and a dream, like Pastor Nate as a minister, to say, you know, I was impacted as a young adult. God, give me a strong young adult ministry. That was a dream. I don't know what your dream is. I've had so many dreams, and I bring them to God, and I check my heart, my motive's right, but it just doesn't seem to be lining up. And often what happens is Jesus said, get all the doubt out of the room. Let me be in the room. Let me work. Let me breathe life into the little girl or into your dream. And I just think right now, you've let your dream die because you lack faith. You lack faith. So let's talk about that. How do you push through in your personal life? It could be timing, like you just mentioned. You know, God's timing, obviously, is perfect. But what do you do in that interim period while you're waiting for the breakthrough? How do you keep your faith alive?
I think one of the things that happens is many times as maybe you have got a vision of your dream, or you have a dream, as human beings, we really want God to just show up all at once. You know, and just boom, you know, it's I've got the dream, and it's all in my lap, and we've arrived, we've accomplished, there's no more. But that's not how God works. We don't see Him working that way in His Word, and I really believe that God is a God who shows up along the way.
That's so good.
From the girl's not dead, she's asleep, and it's everybody saying, well, have you seen the evidence? Have you seen the report? to getting the doubt out. So I think just remembering that it's God who shows up along the way, the journey that he has you on, even when you're hit those walls of doubt or you hit those, let God show up along the way and help you to see how to get around it, to go over it, to go around it, to move beyond those things, to really, and continue to give you the pieces of the dream. I know puzzle pieces is a huge thing in your ministry and how God gives you the pieces. And we want the whole box put together, no work done.
Right.
And God is always dropping pieces and he shows up along the way.
Okay, so here's a question. Does God care more about giving you what you're praying for or the journey to get you there?
Well, we know God's about the process. He's about being along the way in the process. And a lot of times, like you said, it takes time for us to get the doubt out of our life. And just when you think you've accomplished getting that doubt out of your life, it's like an onion. There's another layer to peel off. And so, yeah, he's about the process.
Yeah.
God is about the process.
Well, and it's so much like our fasting passage for today, because we've talked about this before. It's the story of the father that brought his son to the disciples, and they could not cast out the demon from this boy. And we'll talk about that for a minute, because if you have a child, if you're a parent, there is nothing that will keep you from finding healing when you have a child that's struggling, no doubt, right?
Yeah.
And of course, Jesus was performing miracles, and he had given his disciples, so let's talk about this, he had given his disciples power, chapters before, to call out demonic spirits, to raise the dead, to speak, to heal and to speak life. And this certain one they couldn't, they struggled with. And it's funny because in my journey, we talk about journey, there's times and seasons in my life that I have such great faith and God's moving, and then I come up against an obstacle and I'm pushing and I'm pushing and I'm pushing. I'm like, God, where are you? Where are you?
Yeah.
So again, that journey, that's where the disciples were. They couldn't do it.
Yeah.
They couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, let's talk, because Jesus came and quickly, obviously, healed the little boy. And then when the disciples came and they said, Jesus, why couldn't we? And we made reference in chapter 17 of Matthew when he said, because, some things only happen by prayer and fasting because of your unbelief. But here's what I want to talk about real quickly. The Father, he looked at the Father and he said, do you believe? And the Father said, yes, I believe, but help my unbelief. So here's my question to you. There are times in my life where I have faith. And there's times in my life that I don't. And Jesus saw both those in this father's life right there, right? How do we talk to people right now when they don't have the faith they need to get them through to their miracle?
I think one of the hardest things that happens in our life is our beliefs and our faith can even build a box. And God doesn't operate in boxes. He operates with no walls. And where we've seen miracles, I'll say this story. I came up a few years ago, found out I had a herniated disc in my back, and I was in excruciating pain. And I have seen amazing miracles. I've seen cancer tumors fall off. We prayed for my grandmother, and literally cancer tumor fell off. I've seen miracles and been a part of testimonies, and I've seen the supernatural things. I've also seen God heal through doctors, and I've seen God heal through different processes. And I think that we can come into a challenge, be it a child, be it something, and we can already have a box that's like, God, this is what the supernatural is going to look like in this situation. And we have to be careful and just know, again, that God is working with you in the process so that we stay in faith, we stay in trust, we stay in relationship. And I think what happens, that could it possibly be that even the disciples had kind of said, hey, here was the formula, let's do it this way and it'll work. And it didn't. And it still was about being in the presence of Jesus. It was still about letting the master lead and you following. And in that place of fasting and praying, it helps us to just keep that antenna of awareness up and heightened to say, God, what are you doing? How are you leading? And it ended up in my herniated disc situation that I said, God, I'm taking the boxes. I'm taking help to destroy the boxes of belief, or of even that I say my faith operates really well like this, and just watch you move. And God truly did a miracle. I have no back pain. I have, God showed up.
Yep.
But the process looked different, and it didn't look like what I had my preconceived idea of what
That's
it would
so
be.
good.
And we want shortcuts. We as humans want it quick. We want it easy. We want it painless. But God is about the process.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to hear that, because I think you just said it so beautifully. Those walls to the box have to come down.
Yeah.
Because God doesn't always work the way you think he's going to work.
No.
Because as we said, it's the journey we're on.
Yeah.
Do you wonder if he was trying to take the disciples even deeper?
Yeah.
You know, what was that about? Because don't you think they probably, and I don't know, you know, I sometimes wonder if they started to get a little arrogance and confidence, and we don't know. We don't know enough, even though I'm watching this great, you know, show right now. We all are watching right now. Chosen is so good. And you see the humanity of these disciples, and they're a little cocky, you know, and they're kind of trying to one-up each other, right? And you just think, were they kind of like, okay, I love that scene where he's giving them the power, and they're like, I did it, dude, I did it, you know? God, you know, and they know it's from God. They know that Jesus gave them all authority and power to do this, but and you just think, did they need to go deeper? Did they need to? And I don't know. I don't know enough. I wasn't there, obviously.
Yeah.
But I love to read the Word of God and look at all the scenarios so I can go deeper.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I even think when you look in the context that Scripture's written, there are even the religious people that are there, and they're having the conversation. There's a bit of a dialogue where they're saying, well, look, it didn't work. You know, maybe Jesus isn't who you thought he was.
Right.
And so you can see all of the complexities, and you just watch Jesus come into that situation, that conversation, and there's a father who is desperate. He's desperate, who is even beyond, moving himself beyond what he's comfortable in, and just being turned inside out, where he's like, I believe, but help me in my unbelief. Like, I'm willing to take the journey into the unknown. And just like Jesus wrecked the whole thing. And he just is who he is in that. And so I think in the humanity of us, there's a lot that God's doing in that, from the religious conversations to even in our own selves. We have those things we've seen in our past and how God's worked and how God's moved, and many times that becomes our trajectory in the future, which can be somewhat of an indicator, but he's still God, and he's still going to show up new and fresh.
The supernatural, the spiritual element of our being is confusing. Because we try to reason, you know, we try to reason with our own minds, and it's supposed to look the way we would think naturally it should look, right? So when things are supernatural, they're supposed to look different. And that dependence, and I love the story because literally that father had nowhere to go at that moment.
He was desperate.
Desperate, like you say. And I think I hate being in that place, but it is when I see God come through. So if I, in my supernatural encounters with Jesus, want those, I have to be at a place of desperation. And I've said to Pastor Nate so often, I'm like, God, just take me deep enough that I don't have to have those times in my life.
Of course,
I promise, just take me deeper. And I don't know that I can go deeper. I don't even want to say it because none of us want those adversities in our life, but they do prove to take us deeper. So that was when his faith did execute that moment. And then I think he was just kind of saying, but God, when I don't have the faith, man, be with me, help my unbelief. Walk with me when I don't know how to believe you. And I think God wants to say that to you right now. If you're struggling right now and you go, I don't know how to believe. You know, Tammy, it's cool for you to sit on that side of the microphone, but you don't know my marriage. You don't know my health report. You don't know my wayward child. You know, your life seems all good right now. But I'm telling you, I have been in those dark hours of the soul, like you have, and I prayed with people that have been in those dark hours of the soul. And if you are on a journey to know the supernatural God of the universe that created you in his image, to have intimacy with him and walk with him, he wants to heal you. He wants to know you, but it is in his time. And he wants to make all things new in his time. So I just pray right now that whether you're listening or you're watching, that you'll pick up the book, Fasting for Miracles, you'll walk through these various fasts and various miracles in the story, and you'll go on the journey through a fast to know the deep things of God. And you know, Pastor Nate, before we close, I would just love, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. What was one of your favorite stories in the book, whether it be a miracle story or a fasting passage? What would be one that you would say to the listeners, I love day so-and-so, or I love the story of, which would it be for you?
Actually, I think the story from, that we talked about yesterday with you being on Catalina in the yacht, and you just think of all of those times where you've had this expectation. And I've been on the ocean a few times, and I've experienced those waves, especially going out to Catalina. It gets pretty crazy. And your story about just how that was and being able to relate with the disciples in their challenge was really spoke to me.
Oh, that's cool.
So yes, I love your stories in the book.
Well, thank you. Well, guys, I really want to encourage you, and I'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to know more information about me, then you can go to TammyHotsonPillar.com, my website. And remember, all the fasting videos are there for you every single day on your fast. So you can go to those videos. I want to be your fasting coach. I want to stand strong with you. I want to see victory in your life. I want to see miracles in your life. I want to see the supernatural all over you and those around you. So we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of Fasting for Miracles. And check out our website, our YouTube, and everything that we're doing. Also, guys, if you want me to pray for you, you can actually email me at fastingformiracles@gmail.com. fastingformiracles@gmail.com, and we will put your prayer request in our prayer wall here at Influence Church. So we love you, appreciate you. We have a few days left on the fast. Stay strong. God bless. Talk to you soon. Thanks, Pastor Nate.
Thank you.